Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we are back talking about baby steps back to your writing, week 2. So stay tuned.
Welcome to the Christian Indie Writers Podcast, where we inform, encourage, and support Christian indie writers on their journey to publication. I'm Jamie Hirschberger. I write short fiction under the pen name J.R. Nichols.
I'm Jennifer Carl Tong, and I write historical Christian romance.
I'm Christina Catane, and I write Christian fiction.
Welcome. I remember show choir camp back in the day. We had this amazing choreographer and he had us do this choreography and he was like, this is what you're saying to the audience. Hello and welcome. And that's how we remembered the opening to the one song. So almost every time I do this podcast, I think, hello and welcome to the Christian Indie Writers Podcast.
You have to do that from now on. That's a rule.
Oh my goodness, I think the audience might protest, but Andy, the choreographer, would be so happy that I remembered his choreography from, I'm not going to tell you how long ago that was that I was in high school show choir camp. I'm sure you can guess. Anyway, we are here today to share with you encouragement, support, and all that good stuff. And our first portion of the day is to go around the table and say what's up and to also ask the chatters in our virtual discussion that is happening also 10 a.m. Eastern on Friday. Good stuff in our chat. What is up in your world? Good morning, Catherine. We see you. And Dawn Robertson also wishing us a good morning. Good morning to you both. And happy Friday to those of you for whom the days of the week matter. And what is
Oh my gosh.
They used to not matter to me. And now I'm so happy on Fridays. But also because I'm here with you guys, seriously. So what's up with you, Jen?
So I'm not sure if I have a touch of the flu or if it is like detoxing because I gave up sugar again. For those of you who don't know, I've for years have been keto, and I have just kind of fallen off the wagon with everything that's been happening in my life. And really enjoying it. I'm just gonna tell you right up. Like I enjoyed the food of the holidays. But I haven't been feeling good because of it. Like I enjoyed the food, but I didn't feel good. So I decided this week I'm like, I'm done. And so I gave up sugar again. And then I for some reason in my craziness thought I'm gonna give up ibuprofen too. Because I have a problem with ibuprofen. And I've given it up before, but I deal with, as you guys know, I deal with headaches. Sometimes it's made worse when I take too much ibuprofen. It's like a rebound headache. And so I thought that's what I was dealing with. So for some reason, I thought this is a great idea. I'm going to give up ibuprofen too. And about 2 days in, I'm like, what was I thinking? Like, what is the matter with me to be doing both of these things? So this is the Jen you're getting today, is a Jen that has had no sugar for 4 days and no ibuprofen for 4 days, who has a headache, is not feeling well because of the detoxing. And there was somewhere I was going with this and I already forgot because I feel like I'm just not, I feel like I'm addle-brained today, but.
Well, what we need to do is schedule our next podcast for like 9:30 p.m. and then we'll have you addle-brained and exhausted. And you will be like, what kind of a Jen will show up at that point, I wonder?
We've all seen Evening Jen. Like, we have some podcasts with Evening Jen. Evening Jen's a whole nother beast, which is just as entertaining, just in a different way. Yeah.
Yes. And if you join our Patreon, you'll get our Q&A sessions, which are sometimes scheduled for when Jen should be sleeping. So if you like to see what that's like, head over to our Patreon.
Actually, we made the decision that from now on, they're going to be the second Tuesday of every month at 7 p.m.
Which is not too late for Jen. So, but by the end, maybe if we go long, I know if we go a little long, maybe, but I feel like poor Piper Dow. I feel like she was doing Q&As for us this last time. Like I was like, I feel like I was getting therapy from her. Like,
yeah, we're like, tell us more about this, Piper. Now tell us about this, Piper. It was like reverse Q&A.
I'm like, can you send me a link for that? And I'm like, I gave no good information.
Well, she didn't have any questions. She just wanted to hang out with us, which was fine. We don't care.
Yes,
just
we
want to
can't
hang out
enough. Yes,
and
yes.
honestly, like at this point, we don't have very many Patreons, and they're the ones we do have are basically people that just want to support this podcast, and we appreciate that because we've been paying for it all these years, and the fact that anyone just sees enough value in what we do and the community that we're trying to build of other Christian writers to support us, we appreciate that. So sometimes our Q&As really are just hangouts. So
Mhm.
if you have any suggestions on what you would like from a Patreon, we're open to that. We just are just trying to figure it out as we go because none of us are very professional or like Becca Slime said, we're not rainmakers. We need to find a rainmaker, right? We're not
Yeah,
rainmakers.
we need to actively hire a rainmaker.
Yes. Anyway, that's
What's
it
up for Dawn Robertson? She is working on a new audiobook, reading the book for audio. She's on
Ooh.
her first read through and plans to start recording this weekend. I would like to know if she shoves herself in a closet or what, because I don't know if the listeners know that I have done some audiobook recording, and it makes me super curious. Like, I want to chat more, Dawn. Tell me more. Feel free to private message me if you want to talk audiobooks. Super fun. Awesome. Okay, so I will do my what's up next. And this is so funny because I don't know anybody in my immediate sphere who does TikTok. And so I always sort of say, this message sponsored by TikTok, because I'll say, oh, on TikTok I saw. So anyway, on TikTok I saw some guy, I think he was trying to sell a planner, which I am not in the market for a planner, but
I want to buy them all, by the way. This is the difference between me and Jamie. Like I am a sucker. I see all these ads for planners. I'm like, oh, that'll change my life. Oh, that one looks cool. Look at all the check boxes. Look at all the check boxes.
I need something to use all of my copious pens and colored pencils and washi tape.
Justify your purchases, right?
Yes.
Well, anyway, this fella was talking about how what he does is that he has like one or two really big ideas for the year. And so like for us, it might be getting through your novel or something like that. Mm-hmm. But then he goes back on his calendar and he puts in something out of the ordinary for every other weekend. So days of the week matter to him. And so every weekend I would think would feel like too much. Like he didn't say that part, but that's what was appealing to me is he was like, every other weekend, you just schedule to do something you normally wouldn't do. So I, a couple weeks ago, just wanted to get out on a Friday night. And also I had been looking at trying to get like pottery wheel classes. And so in looking for someplace to take pottery wheel classes, I found a workshop for that Friday night to make a clay Highland cow. And so I went and I sculpted my own Highland cow. There he is, if you can see. I'll drop a picture of it in our Facebook. Thank you. And I really had a lot of fun making him. He still has to be fired. I'm expecting a call soon that he's been fired. And then I'll go and paint him and then he'll get fired again. So I don't know what he's going to end up looking like, but I fell in love with him. He's mine.
At the risk of being politically divisive, who's firing him? Donald Trump?
I don't know. He's
fired.
Yeah.
Sorry. Joke.
He's going to be fired. Yeah. Poor little guy. But you know what? He'll go into the fiery furnace and he will survive, right? If we want to change it into a bit, whatever. But anyway, he doesn't have a name yet, although I kind of feel like he's like a Homer. There was Ferdinand the Bull. Do you remember Ferdinand the Bull? Yes. So
I
kind of like
book.
Ferdinand or Fernando. But anyway, there he is. And that's my what's up. Now I've got to find something to do now because it's been like I've had a weekend where I didn't do something intentionally out of the ordinary. And so I may or may not. But the guy trying to sell you the planner, he said this way, at the end of the year, you will have 26 experiences that you wouldn't have had otherwise, which I think is a really good plan.
I know what your next one's going to be, but you'd have to come up here. They probably have them down there, but in Novi now they have an indoor skydiving thing. It's like a high rise kind of a building. And I'm like, what is that? So we Googled it as we drove by. And now my husband's like, I'm doing it. And I'm like, I'm not, but I'll watch you.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't mind going.
I just have to tell you, my brother and sister-in-law have Highland cows.
Aww.
And they have a little black bull. And his name is Dark Vader.
Love it.
I never thought about making him all black, because I was wondering how he's going to turn out. Because you know how when you glaze something, you can see brush strokes, or you can see, and I'm like, how is he going to turn out? But I never thought about just making him all black. That might really hide a lot of his imperfections and things like that.
I could send you a picture of Darth Vader if you.
Yes, Darth Vader. That's so cute. That's awesome. And then I can say that's the story I can tell about why he's the colors that he is. He's inspired.
I will say, Jamie, if you come up here just to do the skydiving, you might be able to convince me to do it with you.
I'll watch y'all. I'll watch y'all pray for your safety while you're up there.
I think that they come under you with wind. I just don't know how much wind they would have to get me up. Like, I'm just like, because I just told you about my November, December, how much I ate. So, all right, Piper
That's
says
awesome.
good morning. She says good morning. Yes, I loved hanging out with you all. Oh, thanks, Piper.
Oh,
and yes. Dawn says that she says yes, ma'am, hiding in the closet when you asked
about her audiobook. Yeah.
That's one of those comments that you need context for.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that could be a horror
hiding
story.
In the closet.
Yeah.
Dialing 911. Catherine says that she's not a planner person, but she bought a phone holder on TikTok the other day that is definitely going to change my life. Okay, now I want to know more.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope you didn't order it from China, because it may never come.
Oh,
I'm just saying. We bought some stuff off of Facebook that they take your money, and then customs says it's in the country, and then they say they delivered it, and you never get anything.
Take the money and run.
Catherine says, reminds me of the cousin I made in my pottery class in high school.
That's awesome. I bet it's the same technique. Yeah, that's so cute.
All right, some more what's up. Purpose Behind the Pen says, good morning, ladies. I'm currently working on book 19 and book 18 is almost done. Good for you.
She's so prolific and dedicated and committed and all the things I am not. Good for her. It's so awesome.
And Catherine says, indoor skydiving. Let's go. I did it the old fashioned way many years ago. I wanted to do it.
She's close enough to you.
I know.
Okay, Tina, you're filming, and Catherine and Jen are going
to. No, only if you're there. Only if you're there, Jamie, and you do it too.
I almost joined the Air National Guard, and I was dating an officer in the Air Force, and he had pulled strings, and I was going to be a secretary to an intelligence officer. And then I found out I had to be jump qualified, and went on a totally different career path.
Yeah, you're like, nope,
not doing it.
Jen, if I come up there to skydive, can I write it off?
Oh, I don't know.
Since it's a business expense. I mean, it's a business trip. If we, if it's for the podcast.
I have a book about taxes for authors, and I'm pretty sure that it said anything you do as a research you can write off.
Yeah, when I was younger, I wanted to skydive. I was just definitely going to do it. Like, it was one of those things that was on my bucket list. It was happening. And then I had my first child, and I was like, nope. Like, there just becomes different, like, I can't put my life on the line anymore. But this I feel is a little safer. Maybe. I don't know. I have a fear of heights. So we get in there, I might be like, nope.
Same. And I grew up in Alaska and never went downhill skiing because I was terrified. Cross country all day long. Downhill, nope. Not even like the bunny slope. That was only like.
Jen, how does a fear of heights and a desire to skydive live in the same body? I don't understand.
Because I didn't have the fear of heights, so I was 28.
Oh,
it didn't. Gotcha. It did not. I was at a like a low ropes, high ropes course. It was a leadership training thing I was at, and I was on. It was like a middle ropes kind of a situation, and my vision started closing off. It was like, and then ever since that, it's just like it literally isn't just me going, oh, I'm so afraid. It literally is a physiological thing that happens to me when I get up high. But I never had that before. I mean, when I was a resident assistant at Boston University, I lived on the 16th floor. I lived on the 16th floor with a window that oversaw Commonwealth Avenue, the Charles River. I could see Harvard. I loved it. I loved being up high, but now I don't. Being in buildings.
When I get up high, I get like everything turns to jello. And I'll be one of those people that will just lay down because I can't stand, because I'm so scared.
I can't even look at somebody doing, like, when you go to Michigan's Adventure or other places and they have the, what is that thing? The, the bungee jumping and that kind of stuff. I can't watch it. Like I feel like I'm going to pass out. It's the craziest thing. Catherine says at least the indoor skydiving would be significantly less high than I was like, yes. Still too high though. Sometimes ladders give me a problem, but I don't know. I just think it might be fun. I think the excitement of it, I might be able to do it knowing that like Jamie came all this way, and I don't know. We'll see.
I went on a trip with my cousins and they made me ride a ski lift in the middle of the summer. And it doesn't have a bar. Like at least when you go on a ride at this fair, you have a bar. Nothing. Just me and the ground many eons below. What the eons isn't even a right form of measurement, but you understand what I'm saying.
I get you. Eons feels right. It feels correct.
Well, Tina, what's up with you for this past week?
Well, I met with my book coach again, which is always really rich. And I am so grateful that she didn't ask me any more questions about my characters. We're done with the characters. That only took 4 times. Like the first time I wrote 10 pages, she's like, okay, we've scratched the surface. I'm like, what? I wrote 10 pages. 10 more pages. Okay, now let's go deeper. I'm like, what? So now this is our 4th time. We're done with the characters. Now it's world building, which I did a little bit of last time. And I have to draw several maps, more maps, because I had to draw a map before. I have to draw a map of what everything looks like before and after the earthquake. So I need to.
Oh, gosh.
Excuse me. And I have to have 5 alternative beginnings and 5 alternative endings to my book.
What?
Yeah. So I was telling Jen before when we were getting ready to sprint that I was going to ignore the prompt. But the prompt is new beginning. So technically,
well, there you go.
It is a new beginning because I just wrote one of my ideas for a beginning. So
well, and you are going to have a crutch for this next challenge because of this assignment, and we won't get into too much about that. But let's circle back. How do you
but
like
if I
that
have
phrase?
to write 10 scenes, like
well,
I
hold
can
on.
do that.
Yes, for sure.
I can still do the writing because I have to write 5 opening scenes and 5 closing scenes.
That's what I was kind of getting at. But well, like I will expand and pontificate as we get into the topic today. Which
I guess I misunderstood what you meant.
Yes. It's week 2 of our Baby Steps Back to Your Writing Challenge. So we are going to do a recap of how we did for the whole challenge during week 4. But week 1 is now complete. And I know that I have seen a lot of chatter in the Facebook group of people who did actually open their manuscript every day of the challenge. Yay!
So exciting.
And even if you only did it one day, good for you. You did more, presumably, than you had been doing. And I would like for you to feel encouraged and supported and take a big congratulations from us that you did indeed meet the challenge. How did it go for you, ladies? Everything good? Are we talking a lot about how we did, or are we saving it for week 4?
No, I'll talk about how I did. So the manuscript that I had chosen, because I'm kind of currently doing 2 things. I'm trying to get book 4 published, and then book 3 book 1 of series 2 I'm writing actively. So I'm like, no, I'm gonna get this book published. I've lost the charger for my laptop. Like I have tore this house apart, and when I say laptop, my MacBook, and that is the book that the MacBook that has oh my gosh, what is the software that I use? My mind just went blank.
Vellum.
Thank you. Has Vellum on it. And so my hands have been kind of tied, but what I've been doing is working on writing, because I can write whatever software I want. I've been working on writing my end of the book matter. And so I did not do every day. And I only posted, I think, one day that I did it, because a lot of times I would be going to bed and I realized, crap, I didn't open up my manuscript. And I'd grab a notebook and I would start writing some notes about what I want to include in that. So I probably made it half the time, and I've been beating myself up, but I so appreciate what you just said, Jamie, because that's right. Like I did it more than I did before, right? And so
Yes.
it's baby steps. And so I have kind of a clearer idea of like what I'm gonna say in the back of the book, and because I feel like there's just so much to say about this book, and that's ridiculous. I'm putting too much on it. I just need to like simplify. I'm not gonna be able to tell my readers everything that I want to tell them about this book and about the research and about my mom and about Meadowbrook Hall. I'm just not gonna be able to. So I need to simplify it. So I've been able to do that just by little baby steps. So it is helping me, though I did not meet my goal of every day. So.
If you ever wanted to make use of all of that excellent information, I would think, I'm not sure how you feel about newsletters or websites, but two
Right.
routes you could go with it. You could post the information on your website, or you could post it as a newsletter, or both. You could update it to
Right.
your website and then make that a newsletter installment. Because I think that's bonus content that readers would really love at the end of the day. I mean, you are the arbiter of what the readers need to know or don't need to know in your actual
Right.
book. But further info, like people might want to visit Meadowbrook Hall, and then you could have like a
Right.
whole blog post about what it's like to be a visitor there. Like, I mean,
Mhm.
really juicy if you ever get to where you're feeling like doing that. Because I know what it
Right.
is when you have this idea of what you could do.
I know.
But anyway, it won't go to waste. I think all of that work you're doing is very good.
Yep.
So,
And
and good
that's a
for
great
you.
idea. Thanks. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Yeah. Tina, how did you do?
I opened my homework and looked at it every day, so I considered that opening my manuscript
Yes.
because
And
it's
you had a
worked on
beautiful.
my manuscript. And I
Mhm.
just want to say how cool it was to see all the people saying that they opened their manuscript on Facebook, and one of them was from Sweden.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've never seen her in our chat before, but she's in our group, and I think her name is Anneli, Anneli, from Sweden, was opening her manuscript every day. So that was really neat to see new people
Yes.
show up for the challenge. But yeah, I opened it every day, and I plan on doing the same going forward and meeting the second challenge also.
Mhm.
That's so awesome. And I did open my manuscript every day. I didn't do anything more than opening it, but that was the challenge. So I can say that I met the challenge. And I love, Tina, that most recent graphic you posted with the book that's open and like a world popping out of it. And I think that was a really popular image during the challenge. You got a lot of feedback about that great image.
I totally stole it off of Google search.
That's
I just typed in open fantasy book and images, and that there it was. So
perfect. I just want to share Piper's what's up before we move on. At 10:21, she said, "What's up?" She played in Canva to come up with all kinds of images for her town and characters for her own use, not for publishing. It's been so fun. Yes, and she used one of those images as her what's up update that she had opened her manuscript. So that's really fun. Go over to our Facebook group and see what's possible in Canva, courtesy of Piper. Okay, so we now have recapped how week 1 went. Now we can talk about what's in store for week 2. And Jen, I just want you to have the privilege of announcing this because really, this whole package was kind of your idea. And so tell us, Jen, what is our challenge for week 2?
It's kind of embarrassing that it was my idea, and I like feel like I've done the worst of the three of us in
No,
this
no,
challenge.
you have not. You have done amazing compared to all the other Jennifer Carl Tongs in the world. Number
true.
1.
There's so many of us out there.
You
Okay,
never know.
so the challenge started really because like it just feels overwhelming to get back to where you used to be, and we didn't want to like be looking at the big like the whole thing, the big elephant, right? You just start with a little piece
Mhm.
of elephant, and so that's what we started. Last week was just open up your manuscript. I mean, that's a big deal. Just getting back into it,
Yeah.
reading it, started to get you. The whole point was to hopefully fall back in love with your writing, fall back in love with your story idea, fall back in love with your characters. So now the next step is, all right, you're back in love with them. You've been opening it up every day. So now you're going to do some writing, but we're not going to kill ourselves this week. Every day, you're going to write 500 words each day. it seems like a natural progression, right? We start with opening it, and now we're going to go into writing. And 500 words may be like, oh gosh, but I'm not writing. It's going to be so hard. Literally, it's 2 paragraphs. If you do a word count of a normal paragraph, like a lengthier paragraph, it's about 250 words per paragraph. And so you're looking at half to a full sheet of paper, and that's all you have to write. So that's it. That's what you have to do this week.
And depending on how fast you can type or write, you can easily get 500 words in one sprint.
Yes. I mean, we
Now-
used to get 500 words. Even I remember that when I would handwrite, or when Rhonda would handwrite, Rhonda would get 500 words. Often with one at max 2 sprints, she could easily get 500 words. So,
But let's be honest, ladies, it's not necessarily that we can't write 500 words in 15 minutes. What's really the challenge is making or taking the time in every day to do this. So
Yes.
what are some secrets to making it happen? You know, it's interesting. I saw, courtesy of TikTok, this brought to you by TikTok, that there are certain personality types, or maybe it's ADHD, or I don't even know what it is, but like, it was not Elise Myers, it was Domestic Blisters. Anyway, she was saying how she discovered that habits don't, like, some people don't form habits. Do you understand what I mean? Like, so there are some people who, like, if they get up every morning and the first thing they do is brush their teeth, like, they will get up in the morning and brush their teeth every day automatically. Like, all of those tricks that are supposed to build habits in your life don't seem to work for some personality types. Like, it does not become a habit.
Mhm.
And she was actually in disbelief that this happened, that people actually developed a habit to where they did the same thing so many times at the same time every day that they just
Mhm.
couldn't stop. And if you're not that person, give me some tips and tricks as to how to get this done every day.
Well, we already kind of mentioned the first trick and tip that we always give, and it's sprinting. Like,
Sprinting.
for sure, set a timer. Even though we do 15-minute sprints on Friday, that's because we don't have time to read 3 different 25-minute sprints, but
Mhm.
because they're longer. But it's 25 minutes with a 5-minute break. And at the end, if you've got your 500 words, you can walk away. Absolutely
Mm.
walk away and be done. So
Mhm.
you get up, set a timer. You can even, if you aren't even near a computer and all of a sudden you realize, oh, I didn't write, you can get out pen and paper and do something. Set a timer to get your words in.
And if 25 minutes seems overwhelming to you, do 10 minutes.
Sure.
You can do anything for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That's true. Get up
And
and
I
walk
just
away and
wanna-
come back. Mhm.
I don't know if this is going to show up well, but this is my planner.
Ooh, it's pretty.
I like to make it pretty because it's more inspiring to me. Like, my brain needs pretty. But I have blocked out times that I call MTBs. That stands for manuscript time block. And every night, this is my weekly thing, but every night before I go to bed, I plan out, here's today's. Like, I plan out what I'm going to do the next day.
Mhm.
And I put it in there because for me, like, I do have some habits, but if I don't write it down and plan it out the night before, it doesn't get done.
Mhm.
It just doesn't get done. And I've learned that about myself, that I have to sit and write with my hand. I'm going to do this tomorrow. And like, I have a to-do list on the side, so that just means it's not scheduled for a specific time. But
Mhm.
then I try to do my to-do list, and I have 2 lists of habit stacks that I'm trying to develop habits of
Mhm.
things that I do every morning and things that I do every night. But that's what I need, because if I don't write anything down the night before, I just
Mhm.
kind of come out here and sit on my chair and vegetate, and I feel like all at sea about what am I supposed to be doing.
Mhm.
But that's just how my brain works. But that's an idea. Like,
Mm.
schedule it.
Well, that
thank
fits along
you.
with what
Mhm.
Catherine said. Catherine
Mhm.
says, set an alarm.
Right.
Great idea. Mhm.
Yeah. Oops, sorry.
And then what's funny is Piper says, join a challenge, which is, yes, you are joining this challenge. So now that you know every day starting tomorrow, January 18th, 2025. The challenge is to write 500 words. Now, are there any other rules, Jen? Like, do they have to be in your manuscript? Like, what are the rules?
No, all writing counts. You can write
Okay.
any and you can do it any way. You can dictate, you can transcribe from someone in our group in our meeting said
It was me.
to trans that go ahead, say what it is that you do.
I like to get out this book, and of course now the name is gone, but it's like my favorite, not my favorite book, but my favorite author's writing. The way he writes is just like so poetic to my heart and mind, and I will just take it out and that's like I want to write like that. That's how I feel when I read it. So I take it out and I just transcribe the first chapter. And usually by the time I get done doing that, I have my creative juices are engaged and then I can go write for myself.
And didn't you used to prescribe that as part of your homeschool also?
Yes, I did.
Yes. Piper says body doubling either in person or using our office. I need a link, I think, again to our office, because what a great idea that I could say, hey, I'm going to write and see if anybody joins me.
It's in the
Sorry, I'm
Patreon.
so chaotic. It's in the Patreon because like I know it will not be the same time every day that I do this writing. Okay, I say that and then watch it will be. But the nature, like the weekends matter to me. Like I might get up super early one day and do it. I might do it before bed one day just because that's how I am. And one thing I really love that has stayed consistent over the years of doing this podcast is we have always been your writing career and journey is a study of one. You are on your own journey, and what works for you is maybe not what's going to work for Tina. What works for Tina is maybe not going to work for me. And this is what we want. We want for you to discover the writer in you and cater to what you need to get where you want to be. We're not trying to make you a clone of us or what we're doing. Heaven forbid you clone what I'm doing. Treading water for multiple years. But anyway, we hope that this will help you to get where you want to go.
Right.
Jen, anything else you wanted to communicate about this?
Just really quick too, like the one last thing too, I want to give a suggestion was like a texting or a note-taking app. Like I knew someone who used to just write a text like real quick, like they would sit there and text and they would send it to their husband. Their husband just like would see that it was a big long thing and would ignore it, but then they could copy it and get it into a manuscript later. You can use a note-taking app. And then I just remembered this thing. I just pulled it out of my drawer. I forgot that I bought forever ago. See this little silver thing? It's a little keyboard. I forgot that I bought. I'm not using it forever, and I did not use it with my phone I have now, but I'm going to give it a try. I think it's Bluetooth to where I'm just going to throw this in my purse, and wherever I am, I can just pull it out, and I can, on my phone, I can open up Google Docs, and I can do that. So I'm going to give that a try. So anyway, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be pretty and in your manuscript. You don't have to have Scrivener open. You don't have to have it doesn't have to be perfect. Like 500 words, however you can fit them in. That's your goal.
I'm pretty sure I'll get my 500 in my prayer journal every morning before I ever look at my homework.
Okay. Hey, there
well,
you go.
And that's what we were saying about you having a crutch, Tina. You've actually been given basically a bunch of prompts to get you going.
Oh, okay. I was thinking
challenge.
I was thinking that you thought it was a not beneficial thing.
A hindrance.
Oh,
no.
Yeah.
And I think a prompt also helps. So if there was only a book with a yellow cover that gave me more than one prompt. Christian Indie Writers Podcast has 30 days of writing sprint prompts. It's a little too late for you to get a physical copy for this challenge, but the digital copy might be able to inspire you. You could also go back to some of our podcast episodes and take a look at the screenshots of those prompts if you need something to inspire you. And if anybody wants to drop a prompt in the Facebook group, that would be appreciated. So let's say you say, today I'm going to write to this prompt, and just try to give credit to whoever you snagged the prompt from. That would probably be nice. But we would all appreciate any help and encouragement as we take this challenge as well. I know for me, it's going to be way different than what I've been doing. Jen, this is a big departure for you from your current writing stat. Yes. So it's going to be a big leap for a couple of us. And we appreciate your prayers. And Purpose Behind the Pen says she's definitely joining the challenge. All right.
Yay.
And
we're going to keep the accountability the same as it was last week. So the I did it post on our Facebook group, whoever accomplishes it first gets to be the person to make the post in the Facebook group. You get to choose the GIF, the meme, whatever you want to do. That's been very entertaining for all of us. And then the rest of us, when we, and in that same day, when we accomplish our 500 words, we comment underneath it. And you can comment other pictures and other gifts and stuff underneath the one. So that's been really fun for us to be able to do that.
My favorite one was just a picture of a fan, and she said, "I'm a fan of this challenge."
Yeah.
That was cute.
My favorite one was Catherine Carroll's today. She said,
"Oh yeah."
Can I show it really quick?
Yeah.
I gotta show it really quick. It'll just take me a second to present it. But all right, share screen.
Do you know what I thought it was gonna be, Jen?
What?
You remember how you left your character Jamie hanging out on the side of a mountain, and every once in a while I give you a hard time about that? I thought it was going to be about a character that you left hanging out on the side
this
of
one
a
here.
mountain somewhere. Yes.
It's this one here. It says writer, and it says the character they forgot in the scene and didn't give them anything to say or do. And it's this picture of this guy up on a chair on top of a bookcase, just kind of hiding up there.
I feel like that's something one of my sons would do. Climb on the chair on top of a bookcase.
Yes. Oh, that's so funny. And I wonder like how often people do that. And then does the reader remember, hey, Don entered the room too. And what did he do? Just sit there, stand there? Was he eating a sandwich?
I have to say
I'm that person that remembers that.
Are you?
One of my other favorite comments was Catherine Carroll as an elf opening her manuscript. Like I jokingly challenged her to do that, and she actually did it. It was hilarious.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So please join this challenge. 500 words a day. You can do it. If you ever did NaNoWriMo and was consistent for even 1 week of NaNoWriMo, you can do this because this is less than half the word count of a NaNoWriMo challenge.
Yes.
Okay, so I think we've covered the topic du jour. Is it time to move on to my favorite segment?
Yay. I think it is.
This is the time where we give feedback to one another, but only positive feedback because we are evaluating writing sprints that literally happened just before the show went live. Now, I do mine in advance because I am working my day job until the minute we go live, but the other two ladies, it was so funny. Literally a minute before we went live, I came and I heard the timer go 3, 2. So these are fresh, hot off the presses, these sprints. We don't take any time to edit them. And that's why we don't critique them. We just give positive, encouraging feedback on these sprints. If you ever like to join us, set a timer for 15 minutes. This week is a really good week to try this. Even write to the same sprint. That would be an interesting take, right to the same sprint prompt every day and see how different it comes out. Anyway, Jen, why don't you introduce today's sprint prompt and tell us what you wrote?
Okay, so today's prompt was a theme. And so the theme is new beginning. You don't have to use the words new beginning. You get extra points if you do, because I did. So I'm giving myself extra points.
Right.
I'm changing the rules as we go. Okay. Something wasn't right. Loretta's sleep-addled brain wasn't awake enough to know exactly what was different, but the brightness that pierced her still-closed eyes was her first clue. It wasn't hot yet, so as her mind began to focus, she realized it must still be pretty early. But if that were true, then how was the sun penetrating the thick draperies of her bedroom windows? Loretta sat up and rubbed her eyes. As she did, her feet touched hardwood flooring, not thick wool rugs. She looked toward the offensive bright light to see that the window next to the bed was not adorned by velvet draperies, but by a thin piece of muslin that did little to shield the room from the rising sun. Yes, something was definitely wrong, because as realization awakened her to the truth of the room she had slept in, it also awakened her to the truth of her situation. She was a widow, she was penniless, and she was alone. A movement beside her drew her attention to the bed. A little angel with a head of curly blonde hair slept peacefully, unaware of the bright sunlight or the dim future she now shared with her mother. Loretta smiled and gently pushed back a lock of curls from her daughter's forehead. This wasn't the end, she reminded herself. This was just a new beginning. And no matter how scary that beginning, it was worth facing the fear for this little one. That's it.
My favorite is the bright sunlight and the dim future. Ooh,
Yeah, that was good.
delicious.
Good. Yay.
Yeah, and that's so interesting how she reckons with everything being different and not just her physical environment, but also her widowed state. Like very interesting because the writing even almost feels slow and just waking up. The way that the length of your sentences really contributed to that. So it just felt slow and groggy to me, which is a positive feedback because that's what the scene is. So
Thank you.
very, very, very good.
And great use of the prompt.
Oh, thank you.
Mhm.
A new beginning.
Thanks.
And like I like that she started out foggy, and then you find out she's a widow and they're like, oh no, black moment, and then she ends on hope.
Right.
Like
Thanks.
I really like that.
Appreciate that.
And yeah.
I love this feedback. Thank you very much. This is not even what I'd planned on writing. Like this was supposed to be the setup to get to what I wanted to write, but I ended up, like groggy and slowing, and like, so that's exactly what I was trying to do, was it be a slow kind of realization. And I had this whole other scene that was going to be more comedic, so this is going to move into something that's going to be funnier. But I just didn't get there, and that's okay. That's what the great thing about sprints, right, is that sometimes we don't even know what's going to actually come out of us, and sometimes it's so much better than what we like originally think is going to happen, right? So,
and if you get stuck this week, you could open this up and try
Yeah.
to get to your comedic scene.
that's exactly what I'm hoping to do.
Wow,
So,
awesome.
Awesome.
Thanks.
What about you,
Okay.
Jamie? What'd you write?
Instead of reading my sprint, can I just serenade you all with "Meet Me Halfway" by Kenny Loggins? Because the phrase "make this a new beginning of another life" just keeps playing over and over in my head from that song. You're like, no, read us your sprint. But I'm not super duper happy with my sprint today.
I wasn't super happy with mine either. So once you read it, you'll be fine. I guarantee.
Okay. And yeah, so here we go. And I really had no idea what was going to come out. Theme, new beginning. The boxes, stacked shoulder high in some places, would have intimidated a less intrepid soul. But Pella knew it was only a matter of time before their contents would be on display, turning this house into a home. She hugged herself and walked to the center of the room, imagining her pieces hung on the various walls, smiling as she imagined the effect. On this wall, the masks she had picked up in Africa. On the adjacent one, the caricature line drawing that charming young man in Alaska had sketched. A rap on the door interrupted her stroll down memory lane. She lifted the previous tenant's curtain and peeped out. An attractive man of about 40 or 50 stood on the porch with his hands in his pockets, seemingly absorbed by something up the street. Pella opened the door and spoke to him through the screen in the upper half of the storm door. "Can I help you?" "Oh, hi." The man smiled. "I'm George." "Hello, George," Pella smiled back. This man had kind eyes accentuated by almost black brows. He sported a salt and pepper goatee, which matched what Pella could see poking out from his ball cap. "I used to live here, and I saw the moving truck the other day. I thought I'd come by and see the new owner of the old place." George's face grew red, and he began sputtering something that sounded apologetic. Pella laughed. "Yes, it is an old place. No need to be embarrassed," she reassured him. "I imagine you live in the new construction up the road." "No, that's just it," George said, shaking his head. "I bought a fixer-upper on the next block over myself a few years back. You see, my goal was to buy this place, but the timing wasn't right for it, so I did what I reasoned was the next best thing." "I see." The two stood in silence for a couple of moments, and then Pella said, "I'd offer you something to drink, but I'm not quite able to accommodate house guests yet. I'm sure you understand." George's hand went up, his palms facing Pella. "Oh, geez, no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to force myself on you or anything. I guess I should have waited to make your acquaintance when you were out walking your dog or something." Pella laughed and stepped out onto the porch and pulled the door almost shut behind her. "I think I'm the one who owes the apology in this case. You see, I don't have a dog, so your chances of running into me that way are zero, I'm afraid." Another silence fell between them. Pella wondered whether the stranger expected she would have invited him in based solely on his claim that he was the former owner. And why should she do so? And even if she were to feel sympathetic enough to someone's sentimentality to make such a gesture, she was unsure how she would go about verifying this man's claim. She decided to give him sort of a test. I think it's going, and then I was going to say something about removing the old wallpaper. I don't even know, but then time ran out mercifully. Saved by the bell.
You had me on handsome, attractive man at the door. That's like,
Boy. I am so suspicious of him.
I know.
Like,
me too.
does
So
he
is
have-
Ella.
Does he have like money he stole from a bank, like hidden in the walls, and he's trying to get in the house? Like, this is where my brain is going.
Oh.
Like
I love it.
he stole diamonds and they're like hidden somewhere, and he's trying to get in the house. Like, I'm like, what do you want in this house? Like,
I know. And as I
or
was
is he
writing
trying
it,
to get her to sell him the house, even though she just bought it?
right? And as I was writing it, I just kind of was thinking of how, in other media or maybe even in real life, I don't know, like it's almost like the person just opens the door and says, well, come in. And I was just like, no, that is not safe for you, Pella. I don't know. Like, so for some reason, she is very much like, I'm not just letting this
Protective of
person in my
herself.
house. Like,
Yeah. And
but
there's got to be a backstory there as to why she's like that.
Mm,
Right. So here's because my mind went completely somewhere different because again, I fixated on attractive man at the door. And I'm thinking he saw her moving in and is making excuses to come and talk to her. And like then he gets all awkward about because to me, like the awkwardness is kind of like he's not good with women or whatever. And why is she mistrustful? Like, you know what I mean? Like our writers' brains are just different. So we're like, that's why prompts are great because we all take a prompt and do something different. So even like listening to this, like again, but back to your writing, great writing, Jamie.
That
like
was
the
great
character,
writing.
yeah, the characters are always spot on and so great. And yeah, I loved it. I want to know more. So that's always a great compliment.
Well, thank you. And let me just say to people out there wondering about sprinting or kind of whatever, I feel like turning off the inner editor, which is nano advice, but if you just shut off the part of you that is like, is this good? Is this right? And then you write, it's sometimes very strange where the story ends up going. So like for me to say, I don't know is like really true. And I feel like the only way to find out is to just go and sprint again, but not try to figure it out ahead of time. Does that make sense? Because like starting with these boxes, that's all that I had, the empty boxes. And then I'm like, they're stacked. Like it all kind of was something I discovered along the way. And that is kind of the beauty of just writing it without super duper thinking about it, because I think you can even delight yourself sometimes. I am also sort of curious. I'm not sure, but I love all the ideas.
My brain went directly to a crime.
Right. It would not hurt my feelings if you chose your 500 words this week, at least once, to explore what's happening in this story. That would be
because
totally great with me.
Yes. And even, you mentioned romance, Jen, and of course he's a good looking guy, but then I'm like, well, how old is she? And I wasn't sure. I mean, obviously she's old enough to have gone and done some traveling, but is this guy old enough to be like her dad? Is this guy old enough to be like a romantic interest? Like, I don't know. So so maybe this will be, when I'm stuck, this is my prompt possibly. So there's a benefit to sprinting at least once today to this prompt, everybody. It will help you to have something to work on for this week if you don't have something.
Yeah.
All right. And Tina, what was your sprint like this week?
Well, let me find it.
Oh, yes.
So like I said, I had in my mind that I have to write 5 different beginnings for my book.
Oh, yes.
So that's how this is a new beginning. And I have to say that I probably would have stopped about halfway through if I was just writing this, but the timer hadn't gone off, so I kept going. And I'm really glad that I did, because I feel like I have more to work with now.
Great.
So here we go. The eagle soared high above the south central Alaskan coastline, the wind nipping at the feathers on his wingtips. Majestic snow-capped mountains created a wall between the ocean and the interior of the state. Rivers flowed where glaciers used to rule. The hollows those glaciers left behind became lakes. Both rivers and lakes teemed with the fish that was the main staple of the eagle's diet. He swooped down closer to Willow Lake, ready to dive bomb at the first flash of red flesh he saw jumping from the water. A
Hmm.
moose stood chest deep in the marshy edges of the lake, chewing thoughtfully on the vegetation he'd pulled from below the surface. He stopped, lifting his ears, his antlers tilting with his head as it cocked to one side. Something within him warned of danger, but what the danger was eluded him. He turned and made his way back into the safety of the trees. 25 meters below the ground the moose stood on, the Pacific Plate pushed against the North American Plate. The North American Plate resisted, forcing the Pacific Plate down beneath it, deeper into the Earth's crust where magma bubbled. The pressure was building, and the North American Plate resisted still, not slipping just yet, but like a loaded spring that cannot be compressed any further, the energy waited to be released. The eagle turned away from the lake, sensing something amiss. The fish had retreated deep into the bottom of the lake, and the nervous moose fled into the trees. The eagle headed home, suddenly feeling the unhatched eggs beneath his mate needed protecting. From what, he wasn't sure, but his instincts had never failed him before. At the edge of the lake, Angelica watched the moose flee into the trees. Strange, she thought to herself. He was downwind, and she hadn't moved a muscle since it appeared. Samuel put his bow down. I guess it'll be fish again tonight, he said. That is, if we can get the cursed things to bite. I say we just spear them, Angelica said. Then you're not dependent on them being hungry. That would be a great idea. If there were even one in sight, where in the world have they all gone? 3, 2, 1.
Oh, wow.
I'm glad that it didn't. I'm glad that the timer didn't go off also.
Mhm. I love the natural world that you are writing, and then how it just feels like we're
Mhm.
right there. I love how
Yeah.
how you personified the moose. Like he was thoughtfully chewing, and he had thoughts, and like the way he was reacting, like you were inside his head a bit, and I kind of like that. And yeah, you just really make Alaska come alive. So well done.
Yes, you do, for real.
Thanks.
Mhm.
And also, like the wall of the mountains that separate the lake from inland, and the fact that the moose was in chest high water. Okay, you pointed out to me that people really do not know how big moose are, and this is something that has been brought to my awareness over the course of maybe since I met you. But it's almost like the word moose has been in my algorithm somewhere, and I keep seeing all of these like moose things on social media. They're gigantic. And the fact that the moose was chest deep was just very indicative of some pretty deep water that he was
Right.
standing in. And when you put those details, I told you it's just enough for me. I'm not someone who likes too much wordy description, and I know that you're not either. And so, yet again, I have to say where it's just enough. The description is great.
Thanks.
Agreed.
Yeah, I have to say that in Alaska, if you are in a sedan type of car and you hit a moose, like in Michigan, you hit a deer, like it's going to damage your car probably. But if you hit a moose in Alaska with a sedan, you're going to hit him in the shins, and he is going to fly through your windshield.
Oh
And
no, I thought he would
so
go over.
no, like they go
Oh
up and
man.
in. Like I have seen so many cars where the moose like went into the windshield because you hit him
Mm.
just below the knees, that it just somehow makes them fly up into the windshield, and people die all the time hitting moose.
Mm.
Is there a car that you could drive that would go under possibly a pretty large
I don't
moose?
know, maybe like a little Kia, like one of those little cars. Maybe you could make it. I wouldn't try it though. I wouldn't try it.
Oh no, it's so interesting too because they're not predators, but they're not safe either. Like they
They're
are
the most
dangerous. Like,
dangerous animal in the woods. Yeah.
that's crazy
And
to
they're
think about.
fast. Like you see these Disney movies. I don't know if it's Disney, but like Northern Exposure, was that? No, that's a TV show. There's the one with the bears, and then there's two dumb moose in the movie, and they're like slow
Oh,
and
Brother Bear.
lumbering.
Brother Bear.
Yeah,
Yes. Oh,
and
that
they
movie.
do appear to be kind of slow and lumbering and dumb.
Mhm.
But then you go onto the internet, you can find videos of people on snow machines, and the moose are like boom going by them through the
Wow.
deep snow, super fast. Like you cannot outrun a moose, and they are just going to stomp you until you're dead. Like, that's what they do.
That's awesome.
So, it is awesome.
I think it's cool.
And the stupid tourists think it's funny to feed them.
No, I know. What is wrong with people?
It's actually against the law because it's so dangerous, because the next tourist that comes along doesn't have a carrot, the moose is going to get mad.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's
Anyway,
crazy.
I'm not going
All right.
to bash all the Alaskan tourists, even though I want to.
I think we had better move on to our what's next. Where the time is ticking away for us. So I wonder what's next for you, Jen.
I'm going to write 500 words a day every day this week because of this awesome challenge that I just started. That I just joined.
Yes. Same for me. I've joined a challenge. These amazing people of this community, listeners of the Christianity Writers podcast. I am a member of that Facebook group, and they are so encouraging and supportive, and they will be joining me in this challenge. And so, Jen, you and I hopefully will have a successful week in that regard. What about you, Tina? What's next for you?
I have 13 days to do a lot of homework.
Yeah.
And luckily, my book coach said, I don't expect you to get all this done before our next meeting. We're probably going to be working on this the rest of our time together. So I was like, oh, okay. But I have 2 maps to draw. I have 10 scenes to write. And then there's a whole bunch of other stuff that I haven't even really processed yet.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
Yeah. So that's mine.
All right. Well, I hope that you are going to join us in our Baby Steps Back to Your Book Challenge Part 2. Write 500 words this week, and we'll catch up and see how you did next Friday. So until then, may your pen be prolific, may your deadlines be met, and may all of your words honor Christ. Bye now.
Bye.